Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are once again going to be doing another Back 4 Blood video. And this is also going to be another Left 4 Dead video, because these are going to be coexisting in the same type of topic area. Because what we are going to be talking about, based off the title and the thumbnail that you see, because this is going to be very interesting. What we are talking about is what will happen if Back 4 Blood has to go up against Left 4 Dead 3. Because keep in mind is that when we talked about Left 4 Dead 3 a couple months ago, this was before Back 4 Blood started to really gain traction. And we saw Back 4 Blood, and I still do, as a Left 4 Dead 3. We see Back 4 Blood as basically the spiritual successor, and basically it is Left 4 Dead 3. Now I know some people do get mad about that, but bear with me, and please try to understand where I'm coming from with this. I will respect your opinion, obviously will respect mine. The way my opinion is that since Back 4 Blood is the closest thing we have to a Left 4 Dead 3, I originally was calling it that. But now I want to propose a topic idea to you guys about this. If Left 4 Dead 3 did coexist with Back 4 Blood, how would that work out? Because here is the big catch with this, is that Turtle Rock and Valve, even though they're different studios, they've worked with each other before. So this would be almost kind of like a mini battle, you know, like brother versus brother, or like father versus son type of mentality. Because Valve and Turtle Rock know each other. They know each other well. And even though they've had a fallout with each other before, they seem to be on good terms now. Like I said before in the past, I would like to believe that they're on good terms, because if Valve really wanted to be annoying, they could be like, oh yeah, we don't like you guys, and we own the rights now, so you can't make this game, screw you, and Back 4 Blood doesn't come out. You know, they could do something petty like that, but they're not. Or at least so far. Unless it's, you know, kept very secret, I don't know. Maybe they hate each other, and maybe they don't like this, I don't know. But for me personally, I'd like to believe there's no bad blood. I would like to believe that they're all good. But at the end of the day, we have to talk about this, because now it's starting to get to the point where now that Back 4 Blood is going to be full-on coming out, and people like myself have before in the past called this Left 4 Dead 3, and there is some people that want to believe there is going to be another Left 4 Dead coming out, and eventually will end up being competing with Back 4 Blood, what would happen for that? That's basically the main topic of today's video. Before we do begin, though, I just greatly appreciate if you guys could end up dropping a like if you enjoy this at the end, because I know it's very easy for people to forget, and then there's tune out at the end of the video. So if you guys end up enjoying this video by the end, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. I post Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood on a pretty regular basis. You guys will end up enjoying the content, I promise you that. And if you don't believe me, just give it a chance. But anyways, guys, let's talk about this subject. So, Back 4 Blood versus Left 4 Dead 3. Let's talk about three major things that I feel like are going to be very crucial to whether or not one game is going to succeed over the other. First of all, let's talk about replayability. With Back 4 Blood, it's fair to say that the game is very promising, but I definitely can see some issues that Left 4 Dead doesn't have, that Back 4 Blood does. So with Back 4 Blood, unless they end up having it just be temporary for, like, let's say the sake of the alpha, two big things I have a really big issue on for the sake of replayability is the retries, or the retry cap thereof. So, for example, the fact that if you fail 3 times, you start the whole campaign over again, that's annoying. And the second thing is the difficulty. The game is very hard in comparison to the Left 4 Dead series, and therefore it's more likely that you're going to screw up and you can't end up getting through a single campaign. I'm not even joking about that, trust me, I've tried this several times and it's very noticeable. And with Left 4 Dead, we've all played this game before. Now, keep in mind, the game is older, so it had older standards. So everyone might have thought that, hey, you know, the Turtle Rock team, they might have been like, hey, you know, all the fans of Left 4 Dead would probably really love it if we had sprint and aim down sights, and all these cool cards that you can end up having for magical powers, and extra slot for, like, ammo and locks and shit. You know, that would be really, really cool, right? And in hindsight, yes, it is. But sometimes when you make a game complicated, you know, to try to, like, innovate, it doesn't really work out the way you intended. And also on top of the fact of the game being, like, complicated, is that it's just not Left 4 Dead. Like, Left 4 Dead, it's its own thing. Left 4 Dead, the closest thing to Left 4 Dead now is Back 4 Blood, but before that there really was nothing. And Left 4 Dead was replayable for so many different reasons. You had the director, which luckily Back 4 Blood has, but it is flawed. Left 4 Dead also ended up having it where the game was very simplistic, so it had the easiness factor on its side. And also, in general, it's just the time. Now, you can't end up replacing the time. That is just something that is just a coincidence, but Left 4 Dead, it fit well in a good time for games. You know, it was a decent portion through the Xbox 360's life, not too late where it was like a bad title and it was meant to be on Xbox One, but not too early where it was like very hard to end up getting good hardware for it. It was like right in that sweet spot back in 2009. And there was also a sequel that they could base it off of from originally Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock made Left 4 Dead and Valve got the rights, so Valve had a lot to work with already, so that was good for them. Now, you could transition this and be like, oh hey, if Back 4 Blood originally was made by the guys that made Left 4 Dead 1, or in this case, you know, before Valve got the rights, then they should be able to implement that again, right? Well, not necessarily. It's been about a few decades, guys. It's been a while since they've worked on this game from scratch. And Back 4 Blood, I can definitely see similarities, but it's not 100% the same. And that's my biggest concern. I feel like at the end of the day, Back 4 Blood will definitely be a really fun game, but I'm worried about like what happens in a year or two, and you know, is there going to be a replayable player base after a while? Is like the first year going to be the only time you can play the game seriously, and then after that it's dead, kind of like COD? Or is it going to be replayable for years to come like Left 4 Dead is? I'm hoping it's the second one, I'll tell you that much. Now another thing also too is the updates, or the consistency of them. On the contrary, even though Back 4 Blood might not necessarily be replayable in terms of the long term, the short term it can definitely be very replayable. The game looks very promising. It's definitely going to end up having a lot of content. The people that are working on it, the team, is very interactive on social media and on Twitter. They are very, very nice. They are very, very open to ideas. And they're already doing things like adding in DLC characters, and adding in cosmetics, and also adding in, you know, additional maps, and all that wonderful stuff. And I'm open to that, I really am, and I'm glad for them. But, I don't know if Valve could do that. I think that Back 4 Blood has more of a replay value in the short term because of the updates. In the long term, I think that goes to Valve. Because Back 4 Blood, if they end up having a whole bunch of cool cosmetics, and they end up having, you know, maps being sprinkled in correctly, and the game definitely has a good, healthy player base, whether it be the old Left 4 Dead fans or even some new people as well, and they also do things smart like crossplay and all that stuff, this game could thrive for a long, long time. But, on the contrary, because I gotta point it out, Left 4 Dead is basically more replayable because it's several games in one. And also as well, the community makes the game. Let me explain on that. Left 4 Dead 2, if you were to load up at least the PC version, I can't say this about the 360, so if you're comparing this to console, it might not end up applying, but I'm talking about the PC, because the PC gives the game the most potential, so I'm referring to PC when I say this. But for the PC portion of the game, eventually, if you allow it, you could end up having it where there's mods, so the community can make games, you know, within the game for several years to come. They can end up making spin-offs. You know, you can end up having game remakes, or inspired maps, or inspired content, or crossovers with community mods, and that will make it so that way when the game is 8, 9, 10 years old, it's still revitalized and still has a community. And if Back 4 Blood doesn't have that, that's when I'm worried that the game's going to die after a year or two. So this is the way I'm looking at it, is that Back 4 Blood has short-term value. It definitely does, because it's going to have constant updates, at least for the initial first year, maybe even 2. If Valve wants to end up doing what they normally do, where they end up having mods, and even also their old content, you can do that too. If they end up bringing all the old Left 4 Dead content in Left 4 Dead 3, then you have tons of it, because then you'll have essentially 3 games at once. You'll end up having Left 4 Dead 1, 2, and 3 on the same disc. And it will be super replayable at that point. Who wouldn't want to go back and play like a HD 4K version of the Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 content? You know what I mean? That would be wonderful. So if you had mods and the old DLC, in the long run, Valve wins. In the short term, Back 4 Blood wins. There's one last thing also I got to keep in mind, and also you guys can keep in mind as well, because this is going to be a thing for all of us, is that how will the communities react? Because when it comes to Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood, they are very similar, but they are not 100% the same. Back 4 Blood is like a Marvel Logic type of scenario where it's an alternate universe. So there's a lot of stuff that you can draw a conclusion to and be like, yeah, this is like this, but not 100%. And if you're a very big elitist, or a more nicer term I could put it, is a person that loves having the nostalgia bug or being pure about things, being like, oh yeah, I love when I have the Charger and not the Tall Boy, and I love, having the Hunter compared to the Hawker. I definitely love the official, 100% original thing too, don't get me wrong, but I'm also not opposed to a inspired thing or a spin-off, because sometimes one can be better than the other in certain regards. Since the Back 4 Blood game has only got so much to work off of so far, we don't know what it can end up becoming. And also, since Valve has also been out of the picture for so long, we don't know if they might surprise us. It's really a 50-50 shot, but the community at the end of the day is going to be the deciding factor on that. The community decides if the game lives or dies, because obviously they'll be playing it or not playing it. And at the conclusion of this video, what I would like to draw is this. I feel like what you're going to have is three possible outcomes, right? You're going to end up having it where Back 4 Blood is going to end up being the winner. You're going to have Left 4 Dead 2 or 3, or technically 1, 2, and 3, because it would all be the same game. I'd like to believe they bring all the old DLC, but let's just say maybe just Left 4 Dead 3, who knows? Maybe they might not bring all the old DLC. But let's say that Left 4 Dead 3 wins. And also as well, you can end up having the scenario where they coexist. I feel like that the chances of them coexisting can definitely happen, but it's more likely you're going to get one or the other, because very rarely do people like to end up having several games. For some reason, people always like to vilify the opposing opinion. For example, like with console wars, just as an example. People always like to be like, your thing sucks, and I feel like that's an insecurity thing, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people want to keep their game up, or their thing up, and vilify the other to keep it down, because they're worried that their thing might lose. But they can coexist. I would like games to coexist. I don't like when one game kills the other, because I enjoy playing several games at once. That's why I'm a gamer. I would hate if I got bored of one game and then now I have no other game to go to because the one population of the game died and, the community basically left or got pissy or even toxic. That would be worse. Like, the game's alive, but it's like a shell of its former self. That would suck. I would love for the games to just coexist, everyone be happy, and who knows, maybe even Valve and Turtle Rock would work with each other, and they might allow each other to share content. Maybe they might do something fun where they might end up having a crossover, or they might have a thing where there's shared content and they have like a merge, because they're owned by the same studio. Valve and Turtle Rock are buddies. They coexist under the same figureheads, so they could end up having a integration with their game, even where one game loads the other's content, kind of like what Call of Duty is doing right now with Warzone through Cold War. Random example, I know, but it's true. So yeah, guys, this is going to be the end of the video here. I originally actually made a take before, but this is my second take because I feel like the first take was a little bit rambly, but this one I feel like is a lot better. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this? Do you think that these games could coexist, and if so, what would have to happen for it to do so? And if they couldn't coexist, who do you think would win? Please be respectful in the comments. Please do not attack each other. I just want to have a basic conversation like a whole bunch of adults, because remember, we are gamers here at the end of the day. But yeah, guys, I hope you end up enjoying. Before we wrap up things, I want to give a shout out to all my Patreon supporters. So thank you to Jake Squid. You're a baller, man. You're a legend. You're a meme lord, and you are a god. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. If you guys want to become a Patreon supporter, I'll be forever grateful, and there's always a link for it down below. But I hope you guys end up enjoying another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you guys are ever going to see. Peace out, guys.